EU officials are meeting to finalise the Brexit treaty and address last-minute demands from Spain for a say on future decisions about Gibraltar. The Spanish Prime Minister, Pedro Sánchez, has repeated his threat to veto the deal, which needs to be signed off by member states at a special summit on Sunday. Joining us now with more from Brussels is Bloomberg's Maria Tadeo. Very good morning to you, Maria. Then, is there enough, or have there been enough concessions made by the EU 27 to appease May's critics? Looks as if she's going to some extent, try to bypass her critics and try and sell this to the British people instead.
Good morning, Anna. At this point, you could argue the language of this document promises a free trade deal. It talks about deep ties, deep cooperation, fairness, equal competition, equivalence, and so on. And I think the language also around the backstop, which is so key and so toxic for Prime Minister May, really was softened in this text, which I should say it's not legally binding. So really, you're operating on the basis that both sides will agree to honour it in the future. Now, if you look at the reaction yesterday night, it does seem like it's not going to be good enough for this to go through Parliament. The opposition doesn't like it. Brexiteers argue technically it's not a clean break. And there's this idea that Prime Minister May will be in Brussels tomorrow to somehow get more concessions. But I can tell you, from a European perspective, a number of member states are just asking themselves, why is she even in Brussels? We've agreed what's been agreed. It's not going to change. And there's a clear message coming out of countries like Germany where they argue Sunday cannot be a summit to negotiate. It's just the optics of a deal, get a handshake, take a picture, but nothing will be renegotiated on Sunday. So again, unclear as to what Theresa May really plans on doing tomorrow.
Yeah, indeed. Big questions around the visit then and the choreography there. Are the EU 27 fully united, though, Maria? Will they agree? It's fascinating to see how, just as we saw these comments from the French around fish, comments from the Spanish around Gibraltar get some airtime, that's when Brussels said, come on, let's get this deal done.
Right, and it has really emerged as the key sticking point at this point. For Spain, they really do think the text must be changed. Just to put it in very simple terms, they really think it's got to be made very clear, it's got to be written that basically the relationship over Gibraltar, to which Spain has had claims over many years, has got to be bilateral between the UK and Spain. For the UK, they think really it's just one big unit. There really shouldn't be a difference. Now, Spain knows, and I don't think at this point they really want to derail the whole process, but they know very well the European Union cannot afford to put out a text on Sunday that's not agreed by all member states. It would be very difficult for Tusk, for Juncker, for the entire European Union to say this has been a success and that the EU stood united when you have a member state of the size of Spain that's clearly very unhappy and that essentially yesterday just criticised the whole thing and came out very publicly, very vocal against Barnier. They really don't like the way this was done. And Spain, to a certain extent, they argue they feel betrayed and this really must be changed. Otherwise, they're going to vote no. And I don't think they really are going to change positions at this point.
Maria, interesting to see Dominic Raab, of course, the former Brexit Secretary, speaking on domestic radio here in the UK, saying that Parliament will vote the Brexit deal down. And this is the maths that many people here in the UK are trying to work out, whether she can get it through, and also whether it is a one-time event, or whether if she fails the first time, whether she can come back for a second or even more. Before any of that, she needs to get through the weekend. You've alluded to this already a little bit. What is it that she's trying to achieve this weekend, then, if there's not going to be any renegotiation with Brussels?
Right, that is a big question mark. I can tell you here, people really do ask themselves in Brussels, what will she be doing on Saturday? What is she going to be talking about with Juncker? What's really left to say, or is there anything left to say? At this point, it has been written. There's a document. In principle, everyone, the European Commission, member states, except Spain, obviously, which we just talked about, and the UK, agree on it. So what is she really trying to get? What number of concessions, if anything, will you hear as European countries argue we really should stop playing around with the text? And if anything, you get countries like the French, like the Spanish, who also think, well, at this point, if we're all going to renegotiate, then we also want to sit at the table and get more concessions for ourselves. And this is the opposite, really, of what Barnier, who's the main negotiator, and the Commission really want to do just 3 days before this should be, well, sealed and signed and really delivered off to a vote. So it's very unclear here, what is she trying to do tomorrow? I think there's a lot of confusion when it comes to member states as to what is she really trying to do.